Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow now. Let's get started. Relying on a former among the daughters of Jim Bob and Michelle, Jinger Duggar Vuolo is quite busy right now. In recent weeks, she and her husband, Jeremy, have started shooting a podcast. Especially on the reality program, the married pair enjoys reminiscing about their courtship. People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations, is Jinger's next book, which she has previously announced with the podcast. In an interview, she discussed her issues with mental health, which will play a significant role in her next book. Her stunning discoveries await you in the next lines. Growing up in front of the camera is the central theme of Jinger's most recent podcast. The former Counting on star claims that the reality program gave the impression that she was a gregarious daughter, which is true to her childhood self. However, as she matured, she started to notice the shifts in her personality and started to understand whether she was more of an introvert or an extrovert. Jeremy felt bad that his wife had to deal with people's assumptions about her when she was younger. People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations, is Jinger Duggar Vuolo's next book, and she just had an interview about it. Release date for the memoir is January of next year. According to the plot summary, it will focus on Jinger's journey to independence from societal norms and expectations. As a child, Jinger was so consumed by what other people thought of her, which led to severe mental health struggles, she says. She went on to say that it got to the point that she started to withdraw from other people's company, avoiding them out of fear that she would fall short of their expectations. I felt like, oh, I'm too fat. Then she went on to admit that she had become terrified of overeating in an effort to maintain her ideal body type and please others, even if she wasn't really hungry. Many of these are only expectations in one's head. A more approachable book seemed like a good idea. So I set out to create one, Jeremy's wife said. Jinger and Jeremy have been very busy with house renovations in addition to writing their forthcoming biography. A Tudor-style home in Santa Clarita, California, was the new home for the Counting On alumni in August. Pastor Jeremy Vuolo's place of employment, Masters University and Seminary, sold them the land for $1,900,000. Once the renovations are complete, Jinger Duggar Vuolo hopes to post a home tour vlog, as she previously disclosed. Unfortunately, it seems that their podcast and forthcoming book have been taking up a lot of their time recently. Famous Duggar and former Counting On star Jinger Duggar Vuolo has always seemed to have it all. A supportive husband, a lovely family, and a strong religious foundation that she credits with shaping her life. On the other hand, Jinger has just lately begun to discuss her struggles with mental health, which she has been battling behind the scenes. There has been a lot of scrutiny on the Duggar family's life, so when Jinger decided to talk about her mental health, it was a big deal for her and everyone who has followed her story. Jinger Duggar seems to have a scripted existence for a long time. She was born into a very devout Christian family and spent her childhood in the limelight, appearing on shows like 19 Kids and Counting On. Like her brothers, Jinger was expected to maintain the Duggar family's reputation, which became recognized for their views on humility, romance, and the significance of big families. It wasn't until Jinger became an adult, left home, and wed Jeremy Vuolo, a preacher and former soccer player, that her life started to change. As Jinger has started to question and challenge some of her upbringing's ideals, she has become more candid about her own challenges in recent years. Even though it was taboo for her family to discuss in public, she has now spoken out about her struggles with mental illness. Although she has always been one of the more reserved Duggar sisters, Jinger has taken a courageous step by discussing her battles with mental illness. This is especially true given that she was raised in a society that sometimes associates such issues with a lack of faith or spiritual weakness. Conservative Christian societies typically stigmatize mental illness, but Jinger is working to break the taboo by sharing her experience. Jinger recently gave an interview in which she discussed her struggles with anxiety and despair in great detail, focusing on the time when she began to doubt her upbringing and the ideas she had held. The expectations placed on her by her family. She was mentally drained by the pressures of meeting expectations, while also being subjected to relentless criticism and admiration. Jinger spoke clean about how she felt stifled by the need to always give the world her best self. Being happy, joyful, and showing strength in your faith was always expected of you, Jinger added. It was tough for me on the inside. I felt pressured to hold it together for the sake of other people, and I didn't know who to talk to or how to cope with the anxiety I was experiencing. She felt even more anxious since she was always expected to be an example to her younger siblings and the many admirers who followed her online. She said that the pressure from her loved ones and the general public might be too much at times. Jeremy Vuolo's unwavering support has been a guiding light on Jinger's path to mental wellness. After getting married in 2016, Jinger and Jeremy have taken a very different road from the one Jinger had throughout her youth. They left the Duggars for a more contemporary lifestyle in Los Angeles and broke away from their more traditional values. Jinger has been quite forthright in her talks on Jeremy's encouragement for her to go therapy and talk about her emotions without worrying that anybody would judge her. Even when I've been struggling, Jeremy has always been supportive, Jinger added. When I expressed my concerns or questions to him, he never made me feel inadequate. I learned from him that it's okay to be confused. Jeremy, who has a more liberal take on religion than the Duggars' orthodox beliefs, was an invaluable support system for Jinger while she battled her mental illness. Unlike her upbringing, in which mental health difficulties were sometimes brushed off as spiritual problems, he urged Jinger to seek professional therapy and have open, honest talks about her emotions. Jinger started to realize that her battles with anxiety and depression did not diminish her as a person or a Christian via treatment and Jeremy's continuous support. For a long time, I thought that my anxiety would go away if I just prayed harder or had more faith, Jinger revealed. Except that's not how things function. Maintaining good mental health is as important as maintaining good physical health. Reevaluating the significance of religion in Jinger's life has also been an important aspect of her path to mental wellness. Jinger maintains her Christian identity, but she has been more outspoken about the need to think critically about one's views rather than blindly following doctrine. With this new outlook, she has found a freeing and powerful way to reconcile her religion with her struggles with mental health. Some of Jinger's upbringing's lessons, such the importance of rigid gender norms and the idea that women should always be subservient and upbeat, may have contributed to her anxiousness, she has said. She has now realized that these lessons, while meant kindly, were too taxing on her emotional and mental health. At this point in her life, Jinger is trying to strike a better balance between her mental health and her religion. Ask questions and seek help when you need it. I've learned that, Jinger added. A person's mental health is an asset, not a liability. It's important for everyone to discuss, particularly inside the church. It is Jinger's sincere desire that speaking out about her mental health would provide a voice to others who are also battling in silence. She has made use of her celebrity to break the stigma around discussions about mental health, especially in conservative Christian areas. She wants her audience to know that it's okay to feel bad and that reaching out for support is an indication of strength, not weakness. Fans of Jinger's have already been deeply affected by her choice to come out. Many have contacted her, describing their own experiences with mental health issues and expressing gratitude for her openness and honesty. Among the many benefits of sharing her story, this has meant the world to Jinger. In her statement, Jinger emphasized the importance of others realizing they are not alone. It's tempting to judge someone's life based on their social media accounts, but the truth is that everyone has problems. You may bring them up in conversation.